All right. Yeah, thank you for joining, everyone. I'm Adedola Kolawal, Program Associate at Ingressive for Good. I'm sure, yeah, I had to record, I had to just remember, because I remember someone asked. As I already know, the moderator for the I4G Marketers Talent Bootcamp. You guys have been bringing in some amazing, amazing energy throughout last week. It was very, very intense, beautiful. Thank you all for participating. Thank you for, for the buzz. So it's really interesting to see. And I can see that I checked some of your profiles, some of the links that you sent from your task yesterday. And I'm blown away. I had to react to everybody's post because they were amazing. I'm glad that you guys are getting value and we can see the value that you're getting and you've started putting yourself out there. And it's just going to continue. On the long run, it is for your benefit, right? And we can't wait to hear your success stories, job opportunities, internship opportunities. Even if you get featured in a blog post, if you decide to set up your agency and all of those things, we can't wait to hear them all, which is why we have organized this bootcamp to, get you ready for the job market, to equip you with the knowledge and resources that you need to scale, to scale up, to move from 0 to hero. Yeah, JC said yesterday was a bad day for me. It rained and I was not able to work on mine. But you can still do that. Just do and send your link to the group so that we can react. Hi, everyone, once again. So without wasting much of our time, I'm just going to confirm if the other guest panelist is here so that we can get started. Give me 1 minute, please. So please, while we wait, please you can unmute yourself. I'm going to just call on somebody to unmute herself or himself and just tell us. I want to hear your voice. Okay, he's here. Hi, he's here. So I just want somebody, it's going to be somebody now, to tell us how your experience has been since we started this boot camp. That would be Fisayo Jeje. Please unmute your mic and tell us how was last week, how was the marketing program itself, and then transitioning to the boot camp. How has it been for you? Hi, Fisayo.
Hello, good evening. Good evening, everyone.
Hi. Good evening.
Yeah, okay, so the boot camp so far has been insightful, really helpful, and to be honest, fun and helpful. Really helpful.
Interesting. Glad to hear that. Thank you so much for sharing. Amazing. So yeah, we have both guest panelists are here already. So I'm just going to do a brief introduction to what we are going to do today, introduce them, then we kickstart. So as we know that it's a panel session and the topic is tech marketing and your space in it. Our first guest is Oluwaseyi Onibudo and our second guest is Victor Okafor. Oluwaseyi is a digital marketing professional with over 6 years of experience in the marketing industry. His expertise focuses on performance marketing and growth. He is also a graduate of Orange Academy, where he studied brand strategy. He started his work experience in the advertising agency space and eventually moved into fintech and rose to become head of marketing for a digital bank. His most recent stint was as the head of marketing for iFitness. He currently rejoined the fintech space and is currently the marketing lead for Branch Finance, where he leads the marketing team for Nigeria. Amazing. What I want you guys to do right now is go to the chat box and give a round of applause to Oluwaseyi, because it's not easy to become all of this in like 6 years. Amazing. So our second guest is Victor Okafor. Victor is a top-rated professional in the brand and marketing communication space. His core expertise is in content marketing, brand communication strategy, and public speaking. He studied law at Unilag graduated as an award-winning scholar in brand communications from Orange Academy, and earned a perfect score in his project work in Harvard's rhetoric cohort in 2021. Amazing. Having worked with several international brands in the last 2 years, he is highly sought after for his unique story-centric approach to business growth and marketing. His company, Njali Africa, offers one of Africa's best brand storytelling and marketing courses, Finding Story X. Victor works as the co-founder of Y&V Incorporation, a business growth consultancy with core focus on storytelling and strategy. When he's not working, he's either watching an Arsenal match, working out, or talking to his 2-year-old baby girl. That's so cute. So yeah, that's the incredible profile of our guest panelists. Please jam your hands together for them in the chat box. Let them feel your vibe as an I4G marketer. So yeah, so I'll be going straight into the panel session. So what I want you to do for me, please, Victor and Oluwase, is I'm going to be asking both of you the same question, but I want you to answer in according to your mode of working, or your mode of work, right? So, but I'm aware that Victor has done a lot of work by himself, like a freelance kind of work. And Victor and Oluwase is a 9-to-5er, or spends most of his life as a 9-to-5er, right? So why I want that to be is because this is marketing students and marketing graduates rather, and some of them will be looking at setting up their agency. Some will be looking at applying what they have learned to their business, while some people want to, go into the corporate world and, work with companies, work with agencies so that they can, understand how the dynamics work for these perspectives. Yeah. So, so my first question will go to Oluwase. Hi, Oluwase. Please say hi if you can hear me.
Right. Hi.
Hi, everyone. Hi. So, can you share your story of how you got started in marketing? Like, just give us an overview of what your first job was like and the challenges that you faced in the early stages of your career.
Right. Thank you. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to say is when I joined the Ingressive Telegram group, like just trying to get ready for this, and I saw how much work you guys have put in and you guys have done, I'm like, oh my God, you guys are going to be more badass. It's like,
Thank you.
It's like, so trust me, because what Ingressive has put together, we in our time had to aggressively look for in different places, right?
Interesting. Amazing. Are you guys hearing? Are you hearing?
Okay, so how did I get started? A short summary. I wasn't into marketing. I actually studied business admin. I never knew I was going to do marketing until the last week of my graduation from school. I graduated from Babcock University. But once I picked it, right, I just kind of knew this was it. I was always jealous of all these people that knew from the beginning that, I was going to be a lawyer or an engineer. I was in school, I didn't know what I was going to be. I was doing any and everything. Once I picked it, I decided, I had to level up and learn fast. And that's why I was saying the first thing you need to know is Ingressive has done a whole lot for you guys. I went through, God knows, maybe 20, 30 different people that were teaching marketing, and I felt they didn't know what they were doing. I picked one course and started. I got my first job as an intern in an agency. And I was meant to be there as a social media intern, right? Well, I think one of the things that helped me was from my initial studies, from the first course I went for, I understood that marketing, especially digital marketing, had a very large scope. Social media was just one part of it. So I was very hungry to learn and understand everything. Even if I would be the best at everything, I wanted to be my version of a full stack marketer, right? Have things I'm strong in, but at least I know how everything works. So even though I was hired as a social media intern, I was aggressively learning from everybody in the agency. If you needed to photocopy something, because I was doing photocopies, I will help you do it. And then I'll read through it and just discuss. I'm like, how did you think about this? We'll have lunch and I'll sit with others. So long story short, I started an intern in social media agency. My initial problem was I didn't like social media. Like, as playful as it is, like, I liked the idea of it, but I didn't like doing it. But it was my into marketing, and I aggressively learned from other people. it looked like there would be a barrier to going to other jobs and all. But like I said, I quickly, rapidly learned and then settled for digital marketing. And honestly, the main thing was not to find where can I continue to scale up? Where were the places that could teach me and all and all and all. So I had to keep checking. You pay some people and they just come and tell you what is social media. Social media is a platform for this and this. That annoyed me. I don't want to come and learn that. I wanted to learn how to do this. So those were the initial challenges I had, and I had to scale through finding who knows what they're doing. Who could I learn from? And I learned that it's people that had done it themselves that you learn from, because they don't just tell you textbook theory. They tell you what they went through and realistic stuff, right? So I'll just end it there. Yeah.
Amazing. Amazing. I mean, like going from someone who didn't know that I was going to do marketing, then you don't like social media, and now look at you in the marketing space. You're literally a force. We are going to get into how that came to be. So I'm going to ask Victor the same question. Hi, Victor. Can you please share your story about how you got started in marketing, what your first job was like, and the challenges you faced in the early stages of your career?
Okay. Hi, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I'm sure we all can.
Okay, cool. First off, hi Shay. When I saw you here, I was like, I know this face from somewhere. All right, we've been following each other on Instagram, I think. So it's pretty nice to see you here and hearing your story as well. So how did I get started in marketing? I think like Shay, mine wasn't planned. I studied law in school. I happened to be a lawyer, and I was I was not one of those people that didn't like what they studied in school, right? I was pretty good at it, and there was this time in like 400 level ish that I started doing. I think it was 300 level. I started doing a tutorial for law students, and then what I would do is I would teach them law during the week, and then by the weekends I would teach them soft skills like public speaking, and perspective writing and all of that. So while doing the whole public speaking thing and teaching them how to write, alongside the law I was teaching them, what I realized is that public speaking is all about, telling stories. And my focus changed from solely public speaking to storytelling and communication generally. And that's how I just kept stumbling forward. I think in 2020, I took a course. I applied for a cohort, the Harvard rhetoric cohort at the time, and then I got in and I took the course. It lasted about 6 months or so, and we did a project, right? We did a speech project, writing project, and it was really, really good. And after that, I got the scholarship to Orange Academy in 2021 to do the integrated brand experience. And yeah, that's how I got my first job while at Orange Academy. I think sometime in like July-ish, a company reached out to me. A company in New York reached out to me. It was the weirdest thing. Well, not so weird, because a couple of companies had been reaching out to me because everything I was learning in Orange, I was sharing obsessively, So communication is something that I fell in love with while I was doing something else, which is law. And I was just obsessed over it. Like, I would be doing case studies on my own. Nobody would send me a message. I did like 14 case studies in 2021 alone. I was in like one case study every 2 weeks or something like that. And I'll be publishing it. I would either post it, via newsletter, or post it on my Instagram page. And people were taking notice. And after about 5-6 months, the CEO of a startup in New York entered my DM on Instagram, funny enough, and was like, hey, I see what you're doing. Would you like to get on a call? I feel like we have a role that you'd be suited for. And I was like, sure. And we got talking, and yeah, a few months after, about 2 months, they waited for me to finish my final exams and everything that had to do with law, and I started work. That's how I got my first job. So it was a traditional 9-to-5 role. And I think you also asked what challenges did I face. I think the only challenge I faced was how that a lot was expected from me. It's a good challenge, right? So my entry level role wasn't an internship role, maybe because of the way I positioned myself. So my my first ever job in marketing wasn't an internship role, or I was understudying someone or anything like that. There was just a team. There was like a team of 3 people, to handle the marketing of the company. And they just threw me in there. I was like, okay, look, we are currently onboarding 2 brands from the UK and the US. And we think with the knowledge you have and the capacity you have shown from the several interviews we did, we can throw you in to actually manage these projects. And I was like, do these people want to kill me? But then, I didn't back down from the challenge. So there was a lot of learning on the job, and then a lot of phone calls with the CEO, of course, to, be properly directed. That's pretty much the only challenge I faced, learning on the job. But then I eventually scaled through it, and progress was made. Yeah, that's the answer to the question.
Amazing. Super amazing. Because, the sharing obsessively part got me, because that is something that we tell our people to do. Like, share on social media, share your journey, teach other people, and do this, do that. Just put out your work out there. I'm glad to hear that someone as renowned as you're sharing your story about how you got your first job, which is literally by sharing your work on social media. Yeah, I think that speaks to everybody to practice that. Thank you so much for sharing. That is amazing. So I'm going to go to my next question to Oluwaseyi. So I want to ask that in your experience, what do you think are some pros and cons of working in the marketing industry, and how do you manage the challenge that comes with the job?
Okay. So because we're talking about tech marketing, in fact, I think this applies to all marketing. So, okay, I'll start first for people that may work in agency, right? Agency setting. And I'm mindful of the fact that I said, I should speak towards, people working 9 to 5, just to give that perspective. So for creative marketing, if you're working in a creative agency or anything like that, the first thing is your blood will always be going up and down. There's always a whole lot, right? And it's not because of the marketing side, it's because of the client side. As long as you're facing clients are human beings, first of all. So as long as you're facing clients, there will always be changes coming in and out. They will always annoy you. They will always do stuff that you may not want, right? So am I starting with the con? So I think the first thing is you have to be ready to, first have to know that these are human beings. You have to set guidelines on how you would work with people. Okay, I'm only available 9 to 5. I don't work in the nights. Only 3 changes made and all that. But before you even get there, I think what you really should do is just learn from someone. Even though you've learned the toolbox in marketing, it is very useful to work with someone who's an experienced marketer. Not because you can't do it by yourself, right? But you end up learning so many little nuances that can help you along the way. So, number one pro of marketing is you will get to work on a lot of projects. One day you can be doing marketing for a fintech brand. Another day you're thinking of how to push sales on Instagram for maybe an e-commerce something. Another day you're thinking of how to do marketing for a platform for footballers in the UK or something, right? It is exciting. It's your brain is always running. You're thinking in colors, shapes, copy. You're outside on the road and you're seeing a billboard and I'm like, why did they choose this? You're seeing a campaign that everybody's seeing and you're like, was this a good campaign? I'm saying that as a pro because in as much as you're doing your work, your inspiration comes everywhere, right? So when you get to work on a lot of projects, so your brain is basically always running in a good way because you're constantly seeing things where other people cannot see it. The con, well, I mentioned one of it. You're working with human beings. So if you're working in an agency, you're working with different clients. Some clients will not stress you. Others are sent from hell. You won't give them bombastic side eye, criminal side eye from time to time. Or you remember that this is where the money is coming from. So what you say is yes, sir. Right? There's still a whole thing on there on not pricing yourself and making sure you're properly positioned. But I'm just trying to say it's marketing, right? You always have that. Now, a more 9 to 5 thing is if you're working in a company and you're in the marketing department, when everything is going well, nobody really remembers you. Everything is just going chill. It's like being in tech department in church, right? Nobody sees guys wearing black t-shirts and all. But let the mic suddenly start doing showing anyhow. Suddenly, everybody's starting to look at the tech guys. That's technical department guys. So for marketing, if you're doing marketing in a company, you may think, oh, your social media, you're posting, you're bringing in performance, you're setting up copy. look like nobody is noticing. Well, keep doing it well. But once things are going wrong, especially for some of us in performance marketing, I had one of my bosses, very smart, amazing guy. I learned a lot from him. I have my issues with him, but he was amazing. I learned a lot. And he'll be bragging on our performance and he'll say, oh, I've already cracked how to get downloads. I don't need to throw dollars at Google and Google will give me downloads. And I'm like, that's not how it works. I spend a whole lot of time optimizing those ads. I'm constantly changing things, but And I explained to him, I explained for 30 minutes. I'm like, well done. And next day he's speaking to another investor and saying, don't worry, we'll use Google and Google just. And legit, if there's a drop in number of new users in a day, he'll call me and say, Sheyi, what's happening with Google today? And I'm like, First of all, it's not just Google we're using, and second, that's not how it works. And I'll chalk this under a pro. I was able to stand up to my boss and say, okay, so this is not how it works. This is what works, because I had aggressively learned what to do. The thing in marketing is no matter how much you've learned, there will always be issues every day. An ad will not work. And you need to know, is it not working because of the creative? Or is it because there's another campaign running at that time that other people are, how do I say it, going towards, right? If it's copy and you send out a new newsletter and you're looking at maybe your MailChimp, I4 and all that, that's okay. You went to 1,000 people, just 300 opened it. Why? Is 30% really a bad open rate? Right, actually it is. And stuff like that. But you need to know, is it because it was a bad newsletter you sent or a bad email you sent, or you sent it at the wrong time to the wrong people? Right? So, long story short, marketing pros, you're working on different things every time. It's always a new challenge. It's fun, it's exciting. You also get to work with lots of people. The cons, you're working with a lot of people. Internally, you're working with your boss who you have to report up to. You're working with, for when you have teammates or you have team members who report to you. Someone can tell you, I don't feel like coming in today, I have headache. Meanwhile, it is, it's a whole big deal. There's a lot that needs to go out today. And you're like, okay, don't worry, we'll handle it. And then you're checking their WhatsApp status and they're out on the beach lounging, right? Or they're in the lounge, right? In the club. You have to learn how to, you say, oh my God, so you're running away from us or something. You just have to learn how to manage it, right? So yeah, I think I'll just stop there. I don't think I mentioned everything, but those are pros and cons.
Amazing. That's some honest truth. I was just laughing and exclaiming behind my mic, like, interesting. Thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you for speaking on the con part where you talked about working with so many people. And because we had a session last week, Anifa spoke a lot to us and she taught us how to manage people, how to speak with people. So I'm pretty sure, like, if any of us face that kind of challenges, you can always refer back to the lessons that was taught in. Of course, you have to learn on your own, learn more things, but we have the basic understanding. Thank you so much for sharing that, Oluwaseyi. So I'm going to ask Victor the same question. So in your experience, what are the pros and cons of working in the marketing industry, and how do you manage the challenge?
Okay, thank you. So Shay has said a lot, so I'm just going to say some of the things that he didn't say. And then I would consider the fact that I'm talking to people who are just about to enter the marketing industry. So I'll start with the cons. I think that's a good place to start. So the first is you need to understand that the marketing space or the marketing industry or the marketing department in a company is still till date one of the most misunderstood, fields by management. Right, so the CEO, the CEO and other members of the management team usually, confuse marketing with other things like sales, and as a result, there's a lot of confusion going on internally. Your key performance indicators are not straightened out properly. They're blaming you for what they're supposed to be blaming another department for. And like Shay said, when things go wrong, you're the easiest scapegoat, really. All right, so that's one con. The second is so it's a high pressure field. It's a high pressure field because things are constantly changing in this space. Things are constantly changing from trends, to best practices and all of that. Things are constantly changing. There's no, if you got into marketing in 2018, for example, and the pandemic happened in 2020. It radically changed the way marketing is being done, right? So there's a constant evolution in this field, and if you don't, plug into it, if you don't adapt to it, there's a very high chance that you're going to become irrelevant with time. So the third con I would point out would be, this happened. Well, I would say, so, the people you surround yourself with, they play a very key role in how you turn out, career-wise and otherwise, and what I have discovered with my years of experience in this field is that many people in the marketing space don't even rate themselves. Do you understand? So I remember one time when we were in, I think this was one time in Orange Academy, and one of the heavyweights of the brand communications industry in Nigeria, we had like these lengthy debates in class where, he was subtly suggesting that, this work is not that relevant and all those kind of stuff. He was just telling everybody, I know you're enthusiastic. He was literally pouring cold water to, our flames of passion. And what that opened my eyes to is that a lot of people in the marketing field don't attach a sense of regard, and honor to the work that they do. And then if you're not careful, it can rub off on you. And you start thinking, oh, maybe what I'm doing is not even that important, or they can do without me. And then maybe you now go and check the particular department or the field that most layoffs in tech have been in. And then you see that most layoffs have been in either HR or marketing. And then you're like, you see, I said it, this thing is not necessary. But then, if you do your study well, because if this meeting was structured in another way, if it wasn't question and answer, maybe I would have asked a question at the beginning for people that want to, because everyone here is supposedly about to get into the marketing industry. I think one of the questions I would have asked is, do you even know what marketing is? Like, can you put a definition to it? Of course, there's no one concise definition, but then there are certain elements that should be in the definition that would help you realize how important your role is. Okay, so these are the cons, and I think if there's any other con to mention, it's the fact that, so this is a pro and a con at the same time. So one of the pros of the marketing industry is that it's very flexible, right? You don't necessarily need a degree to work in marketing. I studied law and I'm working in marketing. Shay said he studied business administration, working in marketing, right? And I'm sure if we do like a roll call and start asking people, oh, what did you study in school? You realize that a lot of people study different stuff, and they're working in marketing. But then at the same time, it's a con because it gives room for a lot of, charlatans. So I don't know if there's any other industry of where you'd get an influx of people that don't really know what they are doing, taking up positions just because they know how to sell themselves. It's a shit show, right? So you should be able to separate people that have substance and people that don't. If you go and listen to every voice, buy every course out there on marketing, you're just going to enter a rabbit hole that it will be very tough to come out from. So those are the cons, and then let's look at the pros now. Number one is definitely the creativity, right? You get to express your creativity. You get to bring your ideas to life. Marketing is basically all about, bringing ideas to life and sharing them, to induce an action, on the end of whoever you're targeting, right? And I feel like it's very fulfilling. It's a very fulfilling field, right? You get to do what you love. I personally didn't used to see this as work when I started. That's why it was very easy for me to grow really fast, and keep growing. Yeah. So creativity, flexibility, the ability to express yourself as much as possible. Those are the pros, and the cons definitely, surround yourself with the right people. It's hard not to find charlatans here. People don't understand what marketing is really, right? So those are the major pros and cons from my end. So yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing, Victor. You started touching on what my next question would be, so I'm just going to ask, and I'd like you to take it off from there. What would you talk about? How can you speak on the range of salaries and service rates that are typical in the marketing industry? And it'd be nice for you to share, like, their job titles or how the salaries differ according to job titles, level of experience, and all of those things. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say.
Well, I think I do. I think I do. So, good thing that we have more than one speaker here, because I feel like my perspective would be very narrow, because I mean everybody has different experiences. But then my experience with salaries and job titles and pay and all of that. How do I approach this question now? So usually when people reach out to me, right, because there's this thing that now happens where maybe because I interact with a lot of business owners, CEOs, startup founders and all, and they're looking for marketing talent, and they're like, oh, can I get someone from your circle that can fit into a product marketing role? I just need someone with 2 years of experience. The question I usually ask is, are you looking for a global talent or a Nigerian talent? That's the question I usually ask, right? And the global talent can be Nigerian, of course. It just depends on how you see yourself and the level of investment you've made in yourself and the experience you've had and the results you can produce with proof. So if you're talking about pay and salaries from a global perspective, which I think is the perspective that I can speak on, because I mean this is Ingressive for good. I don't think you're necessarily doing this, to produce local champions. You're equipping people to be able to take up marketing roles in tech companies all over the world. So for salaries now, my experience is that. So for my entry level side, my entry level side, I'm trying to resist the temptation not to say what my salary was, because I don't know if I don't know if that's appropriate, but yeah, entry level roles, I'll just give a range. I think that's the smartest thing I can do. So for entry level roles, if you are positioning yourself as a global talent, right, especially from a third world country, because what usually happens is these companies in the US and the UK, they see you kind of as cheaper labor, right? So they'll hire you and pay you a bit less than what they'll pay someone that's living in the US too, right? It happens to people in the Philippines, in India as well. So now, entry-level roles for marketing, I would say the range can be anywhere between $700 to about $2,500. I'm saying from experience, right? When I got my first offer letter from the company I told you guys about in New York, they were paying me per hour. So my remuneration was on an hourly basis, right? So at the end, I would calculate the hours that I have worked, and then they'd see it, they track it, and then they pay me. Okay, but then this range is appropriate, right? $700 to about $2,500 for entry-level roles. That's if you position yourself as a global talent, if you're applying everywhere. So, you're not just applying for Nigerian companies, right? You're applying everywhere. And then when you take it up a notch higher, when you start having more experience, and you have a portfolio now, you have a proper CV where people can see who you've worked for over the years and all of that, then you can start negotiating your salary better. There's this story I heard. I think it's true because it was quite public. A girl that was in content marketing, right? She was not really in content marketing before 2020, right? She was doing normal marketing for FMCGs, right? And 2020, they laid her off from work. And at the time, she was earning like 120,000 naira, in this FMCG she was working for. She was just, fresh out of NYSC. And then after they laid her off, she started taking courses, content marketing, she specialized and all of that. And then what she did next next was to open an account on Fiverr and Upwork for a bit. And she got a couple of gigs, $100 here, $200 here. But then she was like, this is not what she wants to do. She wants to actually work full time for a company. And then she cleaned up her LinkedIn accounts, basically, set up her documents properly, and started applying to these companies in the US. And after about 7 months, her first role paid her, I think she said her first role paid her $1,700 per month. And then the next role, which came after about 6 months, paid her like $4,200 because she knew how to negotiate better now and she had experience, and basically after about 2 years, right, she was able to make $7,500 per month. And I know someone personally working in content marketing, like personally working in content marketing for SaaS companies. He's an agency owner. This one is a 9-to-5. He's an agency owner. And his rates are anywhere between $7,500 per month for a client for just content marketing, $7,500 per month to about $12,000 per month. So yeah, those are the rates. So let me reiterate, I'm saying if you're positioning yourself as a global talent, right? That's my knowledge of the salaries. So yeah.
Thank you so much, Victor. Thank you. I mean, like, my takeout out of this is positioning, because I can only imagine. I just can only imagine. So positioning is very important. Thank you for giving out these rates and how to negotiate and how to position ourselves. So I'm going to ask Oluwaseyi. So what is your take on salary ranges or service rates, and how does this vary on job titles and level of experience? Yeah.
Right. So first of all, Victor, thank you for taking the hard part, because Dolapo, once you started asking that question, I kind of knew Victor was the best person to answer.
Interesting.
I also knew it's going to be difficult. So I was laughing throughout when he was struggling to not mention figures, right? But to hit the nail on the head, I have a similar experience, but from the other angle, and he's completely correct. And so what I'm saying that is, yes, there is marketing as a Nigerian marketer, as local as that sounds, and there is marketing as a world-class marketer, right? I always had this internal thing within me and my circle where I always say world-class or nothing. Now, it used to sound like inspired to aspire, but my friends, my teams I've worked in, they know I'm very particular on it, right? This feeds into, so you can see marketing is this is a very rough, don't quote me on this, but we're saying there's packaging. This is Nigeria now, right? There's package, everybody package, but there's also substance. Can you get the work done? My friends know that with all of my ascension, we thank God how quickly I have, moved up in markets or in companies and all that. My biggest problem has not been, let's see, how I get paid more, even though that's the thing. My biggest is, God, with these new social responsibilities, can I deliver? Like, I am sweating every day. So when my team is sleeping, I am learning a million and one things to ensure that by the time everybody is waking up, I know what my bosses need, what the company needs, what my team needs, and all that. I am aggressively leveling up. And this goes back to when I first entered marketing. I searched for so many people teaching, and I could quickly tell that not everybody knew what they were doing. They thought, and Victor again is completely right with this, because marketing is one of those industries where you don't necessarily need to have studied it in school, right? Everybody just jumps in. So lots of people came into marketing and said, just pick something, put a PDF, teach people. If I teach people 100,000, pick 10 of them, or 10,000, 10 of them, right? It's very easy to just, maybe they have natural selling ability, they are convincing. And that's packaging. But the question is, when it comes to the stuff itself, can you deliver? And while here in Nigeria, we're always, packaging always enters our eyes. Very easy to deceive people getting. You won't last long, right? On the world-class stage, they quickly see through if you are just making noise. You cannot fake things, especially, fine. So I'm coming from performance marketing, that's digital marketing, ads and all, SEO, ASO. But at the same time, even on the brand strategy side and all, you cannot fake it. It either works or it doesn't. So why this is relevant is, regardless of where you want to position yourself or the don't position yourself for a Nigerian person, the first thing you should focus on is, can I do the work? You don't need to spend 20 years. You can pour 5 years worth of learning into 2 months. It depends on how driven you are, right? And once you have that substance, you begin to realize, I cannot be at the same level with everybody else. And that's what now naturally drives you to position yourself for pay. So now let me answer the question itself. Right? I just wanted to set that background and affirm everything Victor said. Like, he couldn't have said it better. And again, Victor, thank you for taking out the stress on that. So I came from Nigerian Talents because I knew I did not know marketing. I was not going to bluff my way, but I was going to learn really quickly. And me, I will do the opposite and tell you my actual figures. When I was hired as an intern, my salary was 15,000 naira. And that was as early as 2017. Now that is absolute rubbish. Before I left school, I already had a couple of offers to be a business development officer for 65, 70. One was almost 100,000. I just didn't finish the interview. But because I knew I wanted to do marketing, I wanted to learn in an agency intentionally because that's where I'll be able to work on several things at once. I knew I needed to learn. So I was willing to take a pay hit, right, to learn quickly. However, the honest truth is it was complete rubbish that you'd be paying someone 15K, regardless of what it was, right? I was just willing to, you know what, I'll take this hit and I'll move very quickly, right? Even as I've moved up, you get some very ridiculous offers, right? At the point, less than 100,000, even with 3-4 years experience, and that is complete rubbish. Victor, yes, please.
Go ahead, please. Go ahead.
So, and that's what I'm saying. I'm very happy Victor started this because he spoke on positioning. The way you see yourself kind of is the way people will begin seeing you. It does not mean they will all just accord you that respect. Rubbish will still come your way. So that's why I don't want you to package and dress well, get a black turtleneck. I've been shouting I need to get black turtlenecks this year. I want to look like a marketer because people don't see that effect for right? But can you do the work? When you can, there are some offers that come your way. You just know that this is absolute nonsense. You don't even answer it. You don't need to. But then you need the assurance you can get the work done. So on the Nigerian angle, right, a beginning marketer, marketing we said has different sides. It could be a copywriter, it could be on the graphics design side, it could be on performance marketing, right, where you're running ads and all that. Fortunately or unfortunately, we're really undervalued, but we're seeing beginning roles coming in with 150, 200, right? Once you have 2 years worth of experience, there are a lot of rubbish offers underneath that. I think you should know them. Once you have a year, 2 years worth of experience, you're seeing things coming between 250, 400, depending on where you're working, right? Again, what I'm saying is, and I think the game is changing towards there, it is you rapidly scaling up yourself, like courses like Ingressive for Good like this, and then ensuring you're working on things so you have a portfolio. Victor was completely right about that. When you have a portfolio of things you've done, because management, they're not subject matter experts. They don't know what marketing is meant to look like, but they know the end results they need. So if they are able to pick you for a role, what they want to see is that you can deliver the results, right? So Nigeria, okay, so to put it in perspective, the head of marketing role and iFitness, the athletic have it inside this, right? But for big companies was, let's say, roughly 1 million, right? When I aim for that role, you're meant to have like 10, 15 years worth of experience. That's what that perks that comes with it. But I'm saying this again, the game is changing. You don't need to wait 10 years to qualify for massive roles and do all that. As long as you can rapidly learn and then gain experience, and then finally now position yourself, right, as someone who knows what they're doing. You're not begging for something, you know your worth. You know how to tell your own story, your own personal brand. You're able to increase your value. And then finally, to link back to what Victor said, now this is the unfortunate state, and I'm saying unfortunate, but this is unfortunate state in Nigeria. Because when we're getting jackpot roles here, like your remotes, what they will give you, and you're like, oh my God, this guy has made it. You're paying him $5,000 a month, and roughly some roles have $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month. If more experienced people are paying $5,000 a month. You convert that scenario, like, oh my God, this person done a lot, maybe 1 million, 2 million, 3 million. But the honest truth again is so they're happy to give us those roles because they see us as cheaper labor. Over there, maybe that same job is meant to be $10,000, $15,000 a month. So they're happy to outsource it to those guys in Africa Africa that will do the job for what the cost. That's their business. Your own is to ensure I am good enough at this thing. I have my experiences and I can deliver, right? And then you brand yourself as a world-class talent who just happens to come from Nigeria, not I'm Nigerian, please give me a job on LinkedIn. Thanks. I'll just end it there.
Sorry. Shay, please let me. Sorry, can I add something to what Shay said?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. I'm so sorry for elongating this, but I feel like there's something very important, that needs to be stressed there. So everything Shay said about competence, I don't know how much. Like, I'm emphasizing this maybe because of PTSD, but bro, see, you need to be as competent as possible. Like, actually know what you're doing. Do you understand? Like, when you're very, very competent, I think the positioning to a large extent becomes an after effect. The boldness comes with it because you will know when. Now, this is not imposter syndrome or anything like. No, we're not talking about when you know your stuff and you're shy to put it out or you feel like an imposter or stuff like that. We're talking about when you are actually an imposter, like you don't know the work, right? So get as competent as possible, and the only way to achieve this, because it's one thing to tell you what to do, and then it's another thing to tell you how to do what to do. The only way to achieve this competence is, now that you have finished taking Ingressive for Good courses, get involved in projects. Get involved in get your hands dirty. Roll up your sleeves. Stop listening to your self-talk. Get into the arena, right, and do stuff. It doesn't matter if you fail, but just get started. I don't like sounding like this because I'm already sounding like all these motivational speakers. You don't need to fail. It doesn't matter if you fail and all of that, but just get started. Do something, right? Have a stack of proof, that you're actually good at what you say you're good at. That's the first thing, the competence thing. And secondly, look, I don't think there's ever been a time where there are more opportunities for you to thrive in the field of marketing than now. So I went to Orange Academy, and apparently, I'm just realizing now that Shay went to Orange Academy. Orange Academy started in 2009. I think that's when Kenny started the Orange Academy, and it was so Orange was like one of those incubators for creative talent, for traditional advertising talent and all that, But then things have changed actually from what it was. Back in the days, if you were a creative or you had some marketing talent or anything like that, you're probably going to work in an agency, you do work for these banks and all those kind of stuff. But now the roles are so vast. There are so many roles you can take up there. So I think that's the next topic that Dolabo would mention on job titles and specific roles that you take up and how to select your niche and all that. But then there are so many. Someone texted me this afternoon, to seek my advice. So she's in old school, right? I hope I'm safe mentioning old school here. It's not like you guys are competitors or anything like that. But yeah, she went to old school, or she's currently in old school, and she's taking like a product marketing course. She's not even done. But then because she's in old school taking a product marketing course, and she's putting out content on Instagram and LinkedIn, and her newsletter. She has a private newsletter where she puts out stuff that she has learned from old school, the project she's doing in old school with her classmates, right? Someone offered her a job at a startup, right? A startup, I think they just raised funding, and they were like, we need an entry-level product marketer. And they were negotiating salary, and their first offer was 250K. For entry level, someone that has never taken a product marketing role before. The other role she has taken was, I think, a Facebook ads person or something like that, or, digital marketing one time like that, where she was just helping some small businesses run. But for product marketing, first time really. And they offered her 250. And she negotiated because, we talk, right? She's in like our circle. She's a close friend. So she positions herself as a global talent, really. Right. And she said no, that she wants 450,000 naira, and they were like, now, how about, take 350. And she's like, okay, I'm going to get back to you. for like, this is her first role in product marketing. Now think about that. And it's a hybrid role. It's not like every day she's going to the office. She's going to the office like 3 times per week, right? And 2 days she's working from home. So there's so many opportunities now, right? So the 2 things, let me summarize everything Cheye and I have said. Firstly, build competence, and the competence will take care of your positioning. Build ridiculous competence. Be extremely good at what you do. Be too good to be true, too good to be ignored. And then secondly, when you finish building competence and all of that, think of yourself as a global talent. Don't restrict yourself to your location. Amen. All right.
Amazing. Super amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you. You did justice to the question. Thank you so much. So yeah, you're right. I'm moving to the next question, which is to give an overview of different job titles and roles in marketing. And do the skill sets actually differ? Also, in terms of responsibilities required for these roles. I think Oluwase, you should go first. So Victor can catch breathing space a little.
Oh my God. Yeah, definitely. Okay, so for sake of time, let's pick it up a bit. So we're saying job titles and roles in marketing, right? I think I had mentioned a few. So I was in a discussion just even like, what's an ideal marketing team meant to look like? There is no ideal marketing team, but there are some things that should be there if, especially if you have the resources. I think that can help, right? So, okay, first of all, I'll start from job titles. Where I am now, currently, branch, I like what they do. Teams are relatively flat. So when you join a team, you're just an associate. After that, you become a senior associate, and then you have team lead, right? So when it comes to job titles, it's just those 3 flat levels. Now, as other more, I won't say traditional companies or other more places, and it's peculiar for branch because it's not just a Nigerian company; it's a US company that is now in different countries, right? India, Kenya, and all that. So what you're seeing here as marketing lead is the equivalent of head of marketing, right? They're just doing it so that you have this feel of one full team and then you have somebody on the functional side. Okay. So for job titles, right, you can come in and you already said their entry role. So you're coming as a product marketer, you're coming in as a copywriter, you're coming as a graphic designer, coming as a digital marketer, right? Depending on where you work, if maybe you have more than 1 or 2 people in that same role, that's where you now have maybe senior. So you have a senior junior, a senior copywriter, a normal copywriter, a senior digital marketer, and all that, senior performance marketing specialist, and normal. And then you now have probably the team lead. Then you now have maybe the head of marketing. Some other companies have a brand manager. And really, I'm talking about tech, since it's for tech. I'm not talking about traditional FMCGs or all that. So some others may now have a brand manager depending on what they have, right? And then you now have the head of marketing. So what I think for this place, right, every company has its slightly different skinny on that. But I think really is to focus on what's your function. You get your title, if it's copy, if it's performance, if it's graphics. And then, yeah, I think I should just keep it simple that way, right? Simple works all the time. So yeah, I'll just end it there.
All right. One more thing I want you to speak on is, are the skill sets required for these different job titles, do they differ?
Oh God, Jesus. Yes, please. Okay. So just to put a brief addendum to that, I mentioned that when I started marketing, I wanted to be a full stack marketer. I heard about full stack developers, and I was like, why won't a developer want to be full stack? Why would you just be front end, back end? Right? I was just starting. Later on, I realized, there's so much depth. Some people prefer to specialize, and it works. That sometimes you want specialists. But I wanted to not necessarily know everything, but I wanted to be competent enough in everything. Then I'll pick my area of specialization. I was like, you won't know what you're good at until you know everything. I don't want to lead a team, and I don't know how to do copy, right? And I'm speaking to them and telling them to do this. So I don't know how to do ads and things like that. So while the skill sets you need for them are different, I do think it is a good idea to at least have an idea of each side. What does it take to do good copy? What are the basic rules of design? So that when a graphic designer is doing it, it's okay, this is aligned, using gradients and all that. But then you now focus on your strength and become so good at it. And once anybody mentions your name, they know that this guy, this is the thing you will die on. Like you need someone, this is the best at it, right? Oh yeah, I'll end it there.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Oluwase. Perfect. So Victor, can you speak on that as well? Different job titles.
Yeah, sure. All right. Okay. So it's a good thing that Shay started that one, because I really don't know how to talk about job titles. I honestly don't pay a lot of attention to titles. Funny enough, let me tell maybe a little story. About 2 months ago, I think this was sometime in March, a very fast rising, tech startup. If I mention the name, you'd know it, right? But let me keep that private. The founder reached out to me because we are kind of friends, these people that you talk to on Instagram constantly, but you guys don't have it. Okay, we have each other's numbers, but it's just Instagram bans. So he reached out to me and was like, look, I'm looking for a growth marketing manager. I think you may be able to, get this job done for me, right? Because he knows my mode of work, right? So he wanted to hire me as the growth marketing manager, and all of that. So I was like, okay, first of all, I'm not necessarily interested in answering growth marketing manager. It sounds nice for people that like all this kind of stuff, but what exactly is the role? Like, what is the need, first of all, right? Let's have that conversation first. Let's have a lengthy conversation. Block out an hour, in your calendar. Let's talk. Let me know what role you actually need. So I feel like the role that needs to be filled determines what job title, you should like or not. Don't see a particular job title and be like, oh, this is what I would like to answer. I would like to answer senior brand marketing lead, and then you don't know what it entails, right? So I feel like the role is important, right? It's very, very important. Now, how do you select your roles, right? Because Shay mentioned, he talked about being a generalist and being a specialist, right? You should be able to know a bit of everything. You don't necessarily have to have depth in everything. First of all, it's almost impossible to have super depth in every single aspect, of the job. But I mean, you can know a bit of everything and then you specialize in one. One is like your bread and butter, right? So from what I'm getting from Shay, he said he mastered digital marketing, performance marketing, right? So my guess is that analytics is his baby, right? He's in love with tools like Apps Flyer or Google Analytics, HubSpot, and the rest. Now, it doesn't mean he doesn't know anything about copy. It doesn't mean he doesn't know anything about design. It doesn't mean he doesn't know anything about running ads and all of that. It's just that he has chosen, okay, I know a bit of everything, but this is where I can build, or this one will give me the platform to express the highest levels of my competence, right? Now, how did he get to that point? Right. And I can also speak to myself. How have I gotten to the point where I decided that, okay, content marketing and brand communication strategy is going to be my bread and butter. It's where I'm going to major on, because that's my area of core competence, right? It's by doing projects. So there's no escape, right? You have to do the work. So when I got into Orange Academy, for example, first of all, the classroom was called War Room, where you just enter there and you're supposed to do everything. So the project work that we're given, you'd wear the shoes of a strategist, you wear the shoes of a copywriter. You're supposed to touch every aspect of brand marketing communication. And then by the end of your class, and I think that's one of the reasons why we're segmented into groups. By the end of your class, you know your place. You know that, oh, this is where you're really, really good at. Like, you're really, really good at this thing. Maybe you should build on it, right? But try as much as possible to know everything, okay? So the skill sets now, right? How does the skill set influence the job title or the job role? Now, like I said, if you are tending towards the analytical path, right? You love analytics. You love tracking data, right? Shay has mentioned performance marketing. It's all about data, right? One of the best definitions of performance marketing / output growth marketing is that it's an iterative, data-driven way of achieving customer acquisition, customer retention, and having an impact on the revenue, right? So all these things, these three things, customer acquisition, customer retention, impact on revenue, all these things are trackable with data, right? So there's no escape. You're not just going to say, oh, they believe in their hearts that our brand, that our brand is the brand that they are loyal to. you need to show proof. Like there's data, it's trackable. So if that's your path, right, you probably be looking for roles in growth marketing, in performance marketing, digital marketing, really, But then, right, even if you're not the most analytical of everyone, like me, I mean, analytics is not my bread and butter at the moment. But then I took a deep dive into it when I realized that, okay, if I am going to be the very best at what I want to do, then I need to master at least the core parts that impact revenue the most, right? And I started doing like deep dives into it. Even though I'll probably not be as good, as Shay is at the moment, because he has been doing this for like a lot of years. But then I have decent knowledge in it, right? But then in my own field too, right? The roles you'd be looking out for would be all these brand managerial roles, content marketing roles, hands-on stuff. So I feel like everything in marketing, if done right, is actually hands-on. There's no escape route, right? So in summary, don't focus on, the sweetness of the job title, but focus on the need that needs to be met and the roles that you can fill based on the skill set that you have. And the way to know like what skill set to major on is by doing projects. Get involved in projects, please. Get involved in as many projects as possible so you can know what you're made of. Right? Stretch yourself, right? Stretch yourself and keep learning, please. Okay, I think I have a question for Shay. Shay, you did Orange Academy. After Orange Academy, were there other courses that you did to develop yourself in your specific field?
Right. So the funny thing is, I just completed Orange last year. I think we finished December, so IBX 27. And so
cool.
here's the funny story. Just like what you said, and I think it's a lesson for everyone. Drop the title first. Just learn the skill set. And I wanted to learn everything. Again, not master everything, but I want to know enough about everything. That will let you know what you're good at. And pick the one you're good at and run at it. Even in Orange, everybody knew I was the performance marketing growth guy, right? Like everything starts with numbers for me. So you were completely correct when you said my desktop is filled with dashboards, everything. Talking to an agency, I'm like, let me see your track record. Let me see what we've done previously. It's numbers. Don't tell me I promise you will get it. But I also got to a point where I was like, okay, I'm leading teams. We're doing rebrands. Yes, I have an idea of it, but I now need the best at it. So why the best? And now I keep saying looking for material. I checked so many schools and so many stuff in Nigeria, and at the end I had to settle for Orange because lots of my mentors had gone there. They didn't tell me about it. I just realized the people I love their work, when I checked, they went to Orange. They're all marketing leaders. And that's why I went there. And for the last part of this, throughout when I was in Orange, our facilitators kept telling me, oh, you remind me of one guy. You remind me of one guy like that. And in my mind, I was like, oh, I work everywhere. I just came here to be the best and leave. And I think I was best in Logic. Two best graduating students, one best in Magic, one best in Logic. I was best in Logic. I think Pressure was best in Magic. And then when we finished, I said, oh yeah, you remind me of his name Victor Kafo is the guy. I'm like, are you serious? So after I finished Orange, I even checked you for the first time. I was like, this guy is good, sha. Right? So again, just affirming what you're saying, I am good at brand strategy. I already even have another course on it. Right? I am able to lead teams, and I've done that real life projects. Again, it doesn't just Kini. But my bread, the one I can wake up from sleep. I can tell you all the numbers on our acquisition numbers now. I have meetings for tomorrow. I know everything I'm tracking. I know how much it costs us to get a new user. I know where our best users are coming from. I know when our costs are going to increase because of maybe another campaign run or something. But it does not mean I have neglected understanding how to build a brand and storytelling and all that. I think it's an important thing for everyone here to learn as they are looking to step out into the marketing world.
Thank you very much, man. So just to summarize my talk on this whole roles and job title thing, let me give a true experience. So when I started out, I had, I don't know if I should be saying this. This is like, I try to be as private as possible with my professional life sometimes. So I had, I was doing 3 jobs at the same time. Like I had 3 jobs at the same. I was working with a company in Italy. I was the content marketing strategist, and I was at the time I took up a job with a company in London. I almost mentioned the name right now. So I was working with this company in London. It was owned by a Nigerian shop, but like 50% of the workers were, white people and all that kind of stuff. And there I was a content executive / community manager / head of socials, that kind of stuff, right? So, and then for the last one was now my personal thing, because I have always had my own personal thing because of demand, right? More people keep coming. They see what I'm doing online. I position myself, and then I get all these opportunities. They keep asking me, oh, can you come and work for us and all this kind of stuff. Now, the point is this, right? I was taking up different roles for different companies. I was answering different job titles, and doing different things, but at the end of the day, you could summarize it that, okay, I was basically the brand storyteller / strategist for these people. But then I had a decent understanding of everything else. I could write copy better than some of the copywriters that were working there, and I think mine is not even just restricted to marketing. Maybe because of the course I studied, I don't know. But I want to know every single thing about the business, because the goal, right, which is what I am currently doing, right? So I have my job. So my job at the moment is not full-time, like 9 to 5, right? Because of, like I said, demand. What I now do is I now work as an in-house consultant. Now, you won't see this role anywhere. Like, we're never even going to mention that, oh, there's a role in marketing called called in-house consultant. But, like, the consulting companies, in finance, and investment banking and all of that, you realize that there's a pattern with which they work, right? So sometimes some of these big multinationals need a project done that's probably going to take 6 months, So what they do is that they hire these consulting companies, and then they come inside and work as in-house consultants. They take up roles as though they were like 9 to 5ers in that company, and they execute the project. So that's what I do now, right? So companies hire me for like a stipulated period of time. They usually say, oh, we want you to work for us for a year, and then I'm like, no, let's contract for 3 months, because I'm envisaging that I'm going to keep developing myself. I'm going to be taking more courses, and my price is going to increase, after 3 months. So it's very strategic, right? Now, you can be able to define your own role, like how you want to do your marketing or how you want to grow your marketing career. The end goal is to build a company, a heavyweight company that would do great work for African startups, African businesses generally, and all that, right? And I don't think the way, to approach it is by, okay, if you just decide, oh, this is the job title I want to answer, or I want to, eventually answer senior brand marketer or senior product marketer. No, try as much as possible to understand how marketing works in its totality. Then while you're doing that, find your niche, right? And then zero in on that niche. When you zero in on that niche, what you realize that it has its way of bringing you back up, to understand the broad sense of marketing. And from there, you can delve into. So what you realize is that from marketing, people even become, so from CMOs, they start their own companies, they become co-founders of their own startups and all of that. Why? Because if you understand marketing, especially this chase part of marketing, if you understand performance marketing, if you understand growth marketing, you understand the numbers, you're basically the CEO. They won't tell you, but you're basically doing the job of the CEO. You're responsible for what brings the money, right? So your value is non-negotiable, right? When they are talking to you, they're talking to you with respect. Okay? So that's my summary. The letter I took time.
Thank you so much, Victor. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. So much insight. Thank you, Sheyi. Actually, I have one last question, but I want us to take questions from our participants. Please, if you have questions, please ask now. We have geniuses in the room, so please ask. There's a question in the chat on the group. Someone asked, how do you cope with work and freelancing? I am a geologist. I want to focus on SEO. How do I manage my time? Do you want to share any hack, Oluwaseyi or Victor? Please ask questions now. Anybody?
Okay. Let me quickly answer that, right? And again, please, I want to say Victor answered too many things perfectly. I just didn't want to interrupt in there, right? And that's true. Like all these rules and all that don't matter. Just be good. And I think another thing to point out when I was saying that, looking at the amount of things Ingressive for Good has packaged together, you guys have the opportunity to rise even faster than us, right? Because what people are looking for is competency, and the opportunities and all that are out there, right? So like way faster. To answer this question on how do you manage a full-time job and SEO freelancing, I believe. So honestly, my first thing is I've met so many people that say I can do SEO, and you're just first get good at it, right? Just keep getting good at it. It is relatively not necessarily easy, or rather not necessarily straightforward in separating your 9 to 5 from freelancing. But just decide that from, I don't know, you find what works for you. But when you're in the office, maybe you want to do office work, and then you try to do your freelancing either early morning before you go to work, or when you come back in the evening if traffic doesn't kill you or something. Then maybe while you're having breaks, although normally you're meant to use your office time for office work, right? The second side to it is more and more offices are going hybrid nowadays. It's no longer 9 to 5, you must be in the office every day, right? It's one of the things I'm enjoying rejoining fintech back. It's one of the first times in my career that I am almost fully working from home. I still move into a team, there's more hybrid work. So when you're working from home, you'll be able to just pieces your time better. I honestly use a calendar. Like I always have my stuff scheduled, and like every day I have a to-do list. So you can split it, have the things you want to do for your 9 to 5, put the time you have to do them, then now block out time to do stuff for your freelancing, right? So even if they send a message while you're at work, reply them or just read it and know that you're going to handle that. But ensure you're always on top of stuff. But again, please get really good at SEO, not just surface level stuff. Yeah, I'll end it there.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. There's another question here. I have a question, please. I have some experience in public health, and I want to merge my marketing skills with my knowledge of public health and healthcare, sort of focus on healthcare marketing. Do you think it is a good idea, or am I narrowing my pool of possibilities by selecting a niche? I also know data analysis. Hi, Victor. I actually want Victor to answer because I also want to ask Victor how is studying law or being a lawyer related to what you're doing now, or do you have aspirations for maybe go back to law or anything, or maybe marketing or anything? So please help answer this question. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'll try to be as direct as possible. If you studied health and you're interested in marketing, I think it would be a very easy path, to because you have so if you're working in marketing, right, it simply means you need to so you're working in marketing implies that you understand the industry first, right? And like I said earlier on, from the definition of marketing itself, right, it's about activities that promote the value or that communicate the value of an entity, a business entity. So I think the most important thing is to actually understand what that business does. And if you're coming from a sector like health, and there are companies in the health sector, I think it would be very easy for you to fit in. That could be like a free start for you. I know that if I wanted, I think for me, yeah, I didn't do the whole, maybe because I studied law, let me let me do marketing for law firms or stuff like that. First of all, there are rules of conduct that cuts like 99% of all marketing activities out, for law firms, right? So I couldn't that doesn't apply to me. But I think for your own sector, I think it works. If you know a lot about health and you are good with marketing, why not use your skills and your talents?
Exactly.
That you're really interested in. And then if you're interested in other sectors, try as much as possible to be as broad, to open your arms to accept any opportunity that comes your way, because you never know. I mean, you may be interested in health today and then something comes up tomorrow and you're also interested in it. So yeah. And then to the question that Dolabo threw at me, if I was interested in, going back to law, or if I'm planning on balancing this out or continuing marketing. So I think this is the place where I give career advice, unsolicited career advice, right? I've repeated this so many times now, like second nature, right? I can't even stutter when I'm saying it. So there are 3 things you need if you're going to choose a career for yourself. And it's important that you're hearing this when you are about to enter the labor market, especially, or when you're about to enter like the marketing industry. So the first is that, look, you're going to spend a lot of time at work. You're going to spend a lot of time in this your life doing work. So it's smart of you to know what you actually enjoy, and build on it without distractions. That's the first thing. So secondly, choose a field, right, that will give you the platform to express the highest levels of your competence. Like Sheyi has said, that his bread and butter is analytics. If it is the field, if it's the area that gives him the ability to do and undo, to show out and show off, right? Why not build on it? Keep building on it. And for me, right, of course I was good in that. So that's why my story is a weird dynamic. There are still some of my classmates till date that are in shock that Victor Kafo didn't become the next senior advocate of Nigeria. Because, I was teaching law at some point in school, for goodness sake. I was doing constitutional law and contract law, and I was doing all these tutorials and stuff. But then when I did this analysis, it was a logical decision. I never thought about it twice. Like, it never even talked in my heart like, oh, are you sure you're not doing the wrong thing or anything like that? No, except if you're not as competent. Then the third thing is, can he pay your bills? Can he pay your bills? Like when you choose to do this thing that you enjoy doing, that you can build your competence in, do the analysis of money. Know how sustainable this thing is. If it can sustain you, can it pay your bills? You look at it from a very logical perspective, right? Do your industry research. Ask fellows, right? If you're researching and you see that, oh, Shay just mentioned that, if you're the head of marketing in iFitness, that you'll be earning close to ₦1 million, and that sounds good to you, right? And you feel like if you work for 10 years, you'll be able to earn ₦1 million is a good deal for you. Go for it. Okay. So if you straighten these three things out, you should be fine. So yeah, that's my answer.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Victor. Thank you. Did justice to that. There's another question. Okay. JC asked, is it possible for a social media marketer to take up the role of a project manager? Or can someone who is a digital marketer with basic knowledge of handling a task or developing a task, executing that task, takes up a role as a project marketer? Okay, basically, is it possible for a social media marketer to take up the role of a product marketer?
I think she wants to answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. I thought I was answering already. So is it possible for a social media manager to take up the role of a product marketer? Product manager.
Is it possible
Yes,
for
please,
a social media marketer? Okay, is it possible for a social media marketer to take up the role of a product marketer?
Jesus, yes. So I think it goes to the root of what we've been saying. Aggressively skill up. If you're going to do something, be very good at it. Really, what is product marketing, right? You're basically thinking of how to go to market. You're thinking of what is the right way to communicate the benefits of the products you are selling in a way that positions you well in the market and also ensures that people you're targeting, right, love and immediately get what you're saying. And I've seen product marketing work a couple of times close up in my career. So what I think is, if you're a social media manager, you have some certain skills, that's completely cool. If you're going to product marketing, there are some skills that translate, but there are also some that you need to learn, right? How do you start learning go-to-market and all that? How do you start learning positioning and all? Just learn those things and do it. So yes, I think it is very possible, right? I think it is very possible.
Thank you so much. Easton Bakari asked, what are the means to get started in each pillar of marketing? E.g., like pet projects, e.g., social media marketing, creating content, and growing a social media channel. What would be equivalent for performance/growth marketing or analytics? What are the step-by-step process or step-by-step titles to grow to performance or growth marketing? I think that's what he's trying to ask.
Hey, kindly unmute your mic. It's analytics.
For this one. I was just hoping. I was like, I don't give it to him. Okay, so Ethan. All right. So when you say pillar, and I think Victor touched on this earlier, right? And he said when he was referring to me in performance marketing, he was able to tell immediately that means I must naturally love numbers. I can tell that people that are scared of numbers, they don't give them. At a point, I had people in my team that when my MD is shouting, well, not shouting, but management is all on us and they're saying why numbers not moving, I don't stress them. Their own is, this is content going out. These are the kind of engagement we're looking at. We had rough targets for that, but they can't process the KPIs from the end, you break it down and all that. Doesn't mean I'll teach them, but that was not their own go-to. Mine was, I can mainly hear, okay, we need so in revenue. I know how many users that comes from, right? I know the opportunities for selling or whatever. I know how many users we need to bring in per day. I know the conversion. I can just hear it and I'm already thinking through those things. So I naturally tended towards that. So to answer this question without the challenge, for performance marketing, you need to love numbers and data and tracking. Anybody who knows me knows I cannot not have my dashboard. I can be at the beach and I'll still open my phone to quickly check what the dashboard is looking like, right? Like, in my head, I'll be thinking. For social media marketing, I think we had a time when people thought just to post and drop caption or something. It has become obvious that social media marketing is, and there's this girl that's doing amazing stuff on IG, Bolaji Billion, social media, okay, right? And the second person I can mention is Victor that you have here. He's doing amazingly well in social media. And I think it's this propensity for creating content and realizing that content is never as strict as you think it's going to be. It's not okay, today I'll post about product or this. You still have those guidelines, but the content itself kind of organically comes out of you. I need to find out how to create content, engage with people. And they're kind of mixed in. Because when you're thinking of, sorry I'm saying plenty here, but I'm trying to find that essence. When you're thinking of talking to people, like if you want to engage with your guy, like you're not thinking about it like it's a million people, just you're talking with your guy. And that's why you have to know your persona, which is a long story for who are you actually talking to. Is it young people that love tech? Is it old people that dance to Mizalbe? Is it politicians that like Sherman Abuja, whatever? Just have an idea of who your user is and sit them down and talk to them. You naturally start finding out what kind of content will resonate. In fact, you start scrolling through IG and some content jump out on you like, oh, wow, I can do that. Right? It's different from, oh, I need to create a content calendar now. So for that, I think you need to, and Victor will speak more to this. Social media marketing, I think you have this thing around content creation and engagement, right? And constantly coming up with new ideas on those two. And some might come naturally to you when you get that core. I think that kind of also answers for content. Growing a social media channel, there's always, there are two major ways, organic and inorganic. Organic will come from all the natural things you're doing on social media. You do have to learn the slightly technical side. Every platform has a secret to it, right? The other time I put new IG is reels. But it doesn't mean you should do stupid things in reels, right? Very fashion to use stupid, but there are some things you see and you're like, oh my God, you can see the thinking behind it. It's like, guy, now try. Just be more original. And that's what I'm saying. Victor has done amazingly well here. That's one of the things I'm like, come on, this guy is good. So let me just end it there. Performance growth marketing, you need to have a natural propensity for data, growth, numbers, all that. Social media marketing, you need to just love, like content just comes to you well. You may not love it initially, but you can grow to like it. And I've seen people make that transition, has been amazing. Right. I will end here to allow Victor add to that.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Shay. You basically gave me an alley-oop and made my job pretty easy. So, for social media marketing / any other form of brand and marketing communications, really, right? What I would recommend is learn first. If you're just starting out, right, learn from the very best sources that you can find. Yeah. And what you realize with these guys that you're learning from is that they have frameworks that are not as popular usually, right? They usually have frameworks. So if you talk to me or you talk to one of my business partners, Yai, or you talk to the founder of Orange Academy, Kende Bademose, because I interned with him for like 6 months, and we worked on a couple of companies. We worked on like 3 companies, one in Italy, one in US, one in UK, and I saw how that he had a framework, that he used for all these companies. And when we eventually did the presentations and we're, implementing all of this and even tracking the data, right? These guys, when we're presenting to them, it's like they're seeing magic. They don't know how to act, because it's like, oh my God, this is so creative and it has so much depth, and that's what you want. That's what you want when you're into marketing. You want to do something that actually has depth, something that stands out, and sets you apart. And I feel like that's what frameworks will give you. And then secondly, to reiterate what Shay said, be data driven. No matter even if you are, I don't know, even if you're a creative genius and you don't like numbers, but at the most basic level, just no data, right? No data. So someone like me, I do not like mathematics. I feel like one of the reasons I even studied law, maybe what solidified it for me was knowing that I wouldn't see maths ever again in my life. I was like, I'm definitely going to study law, right? Because I do not like mathematics. So I've not had a natural thing for numbers. But then, I mean, I had to, because numbers show you what the people are doing, and they show you what the people are thinking, and they show you whether you're making progress or not, what to tweak or not to tweak, So when you're starting out, like I said, don't be romantic about your experiments. Just experiment stuff. You're going to fail sometimes, with all of these things that we're saying, right? But if you have these basics sorted, you continually get better. And the person that was talking about transitioning, I think she said something about transitioning into performance marketing or getting better with data analytics and all of that. So this is something I have done, that, and I'm still doing, that helps me, right? So I do two things. Firstly, find your people, and then secondly, find the tools that you need. I think they all fall into each other, Sha. But at the end of the day, it's just those two things. Yeah. So you need people to show you stuff, to show you the way, to help you make your journey easier. If you are that creative genius, the idea guy, the high level thinker, the strategist, and the behind the scenes person, all of that, if you're not the numbers person, yeah, try as much as possible to have a numbers person close, that can help you and assist you and show you the way, so you can at least have a basic understanding of it. And then secondly, let them introduce you to tools, right? There are tools for everything these days. There are tools, bro. There are so many. In fact, for everything there's a tool for it. There is a tool for it. And these tools, they are inexhaustible. So get your hands on a couple of tools and start experimenting. Maybe once you're done with this call and like you're looking for entry-level roles in marketing, let's say you want to be hired as an email marketer, for example. And of course, you have the certificate, from Ingressive for Good, but you don't have any practical experience. Maybe before you start waiting, or you tell yourself, oh, Victor said we should do projects, and I don't have any projects yet, so I don't know what to do. No, before you start getting the projects, go and download HubSpot, right? Download HubSpot CRM, log in, and start experimenting with HubSpot CRM. Right? Use Send Pulse. Get your hands on any tool and do it for yourself first. When you do it for yourself, you see that it comes easier, because I mean it's useful, right? So I probably would never have known how to use CRM tools as much as I do, if I didn't start a newsletter publication myself. So it was when I started, I was forced to, okay, let me learn this thing thoroughly, and I started it. And who knew that eventually I would need to do it for other people? And when I started working in marketing and all of that kind of stuff, it came in very handy, right? So know your people and know your tools. Okay. So yeah, that's it.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Victor. Thank you, Oluwaseyi. We have many more questions, but we can't take any more now. Victor and Shay are on the group. Perhaps they will help answer. I feel like some questions have been answered in person as well, because we have to release our guests now. So I'm just going to allow both of them to share a word of advice as we wrap up. Oluwaseyi, I'd like you to go first.
Okay, so the first thing I'm going to reference something Victor said earlier in this talk. He said, like, there is an amazing opportunity now. Like, it has never been easier to make, I'll use the word money, to make so much money and to grow so quickly in marketing as it has been now. And I think it's going to continue to improve, especially with the fact that people in other countries are willing to pick marketers in Africa and Nigeria, right? But the thing is, they're not looking to pick low quality people, or, like in Nigeria, you can hoodwink your way through lots of things. You can't do that out there. So if I'm going to leave anybody with anything, I'll really say the same thing I tell friends I have in my circle and those I have on my teams. It's really world class or nothing. If you say that statement and doesn't evoke anything in you, then that's cool. Probably maybe you want to do something else. But if you're going to do something, why not be the best at it? It doesn't have to happen immediately, but it's a mindset. If you're going to be a marketer, and thank you, Victor, for mentioning that thing about learning frameworks are from Kenny, right? I remember the 1, 2, X3 framework, and Kenny is amazing. And this also kind of leads into how I got into Orange, which is I was looking at the best of the best. I wanted to find out where was the best place to learn this. I'm always checking different courses. And I end up finding, okay, let me find people that have done it themselves and what did they do. If you're going to step into marketing, it's an exciting time. You should learn from people that have done exciting things ahead of you. Not because you need to learn exactly what they've done, but use them as a parameter for this is possible and decide you want to get to that extent. I have a mentor. He was in Airtel, Noah's Ark and all that. He did all the Airtel data is life ads. And he had a saying. He would say, before you think out of the box, first master the box. That he doesn't, in his words, say he doesn't like all these genesis that come from think outside the box. He gets it. He loves that energy. But first, master the box. Know what you are doing. But by the time you finish doing that, before you even want to form any idea, you realize the ideas are stupid. And then you now realize the ideas that can add actual value. And one good idea well executed will buy you so many opportunities, right? So I'll try and end it here. First thing I'm saying is was fast or nothing. Really don't be average. Decide anything you're going to learn well. And I think you started the first step properly by starting Ingressive. It's an amazing opportunity. And yeah, I'm proud of all of you guys because you have something we had to struggle for then. The second is find the people that are the best in this industry. I personally look up to Tolu Ijogun, who was the former CMO of Kuda. She moved to Number. They were formerly Kudi. She rebranded them. She's left them and moved somewhere else. But there's nowhere she has gone to. You won't feel her impact. And I have a couple of other mentors in the industry as well. No matter how good I am, no matter whatever they say, I'm still like, my God, I am just learning, right? That gives you something to aspire to. And then number 3, the sky is the limit. The opportunities in this day and age is amazing. Position yourself as a global talent, as Victor has said, and then just go out there and do great work, right?
Thank you. Amazing. Thank you so much. Victor, please share some word of advice as a wrap up.
Okay. So quickly, I'll just mention them like in bullet points. The first is when you're good, right? When you are good, your word will spread. Like people will talk about you. In this meeting alone, I can count how many times the name Orange Academy has been mentioned between me and Sheyi and Dollar. Everybody, we just mentioning, Orange Academy. And it's like free adverts for Orange Academy, right? Because it was quality stuff that they provided us with while we were there, right? So if you are good at your job, people mention you in circles that you don't even have any idea. That's number 1. Then the second thing is be committed to depth, right? When you pick something, do it deeply. Like, see, I don't want to sound like all these millennials that would be like, it's so easy to be successful in today's world and all of that. But my point is, everyone is so distracted. Everybody, we are living in a hyper distracted world, right? And if you master focus, that's your superpower. If you're able to take out 3 hours, remember how you studied in school, doing overnight and all of that to pass courses that you're not eventually going to use when you left school, and now sometimes you'd have like an online course that you'd actually need, to upskill in your work, and it will probably take you 5 hours and you've been procrastinating for like 6 months. Why are you doing that? Do things that you need to do to get to where you need to go to. Right? Don't play the blind eye and be like you don't know. And then the final advice I would give you is stop being soft. Right? No matter how this sounds, don't be soft. Just try as much as possible to be as dangerous as you can be. And please do not misunderstand what I just said. When I mean be as dangerous, I mean arm yourself with skills. Be too good to be ignored. You can equip yourself so much, that it's not a negotiable thing, to let you go. Do you understand what I'm saying? Or to not have you on the team. There's a story of someone in Ingressive that boggles my mind. It melts my heart, right? So I heard the story of Blessing Abeng. I heard that Blessing Abeng went to Orange Academy at some point. And I think she was doing her own thing. She was running her own agency or something like that. And 2020 came, and the pandemic happened, and she was she eventually became the co-founder of Disha. I think she started as director of communications or something like that. But she brought in so much value when she started working with Disha that a lot of us that signed up for Disha, I think the founders were Evans, Akano, and Rufus and the rest. But when Blessing came, she changed the game, right? And she was director of communications, brand and marketing or something like that. And she has done the same for Ingressive. A lot of us know Ingressive because of Blessing. If we are going to be honest, my introduction to Ingressive was because Blessing became like the face of Ingressive. But you'll be surprised that this thing was never her brainchild, But she's like, you can't mention Ingressive now without mentioning her because of the amount of value she has brought into this organization. So take that as an example to emulate. Wherever you're entering, right? Try as much as possible to give it your absolute best. There's no failure when you give it your absolute best, even if it doesn't work out the way you envisioned it, right? It's going to turn out really nice or more than what you even expected. So yeah, that's my advice. I hope it resonates. Cheers.
Sure, it does. Thank you so much, Victor. Thank you. Amazing session, sir. Thank you for honoring our invitation. Thank you everybody for joining in. Yeah, you can ask your questions on the group chat and they'll respond as soon as they can. Yeah, so we are going to be wrapping up now. Amazing I4G marketers. Thank you for joining. Thank you everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
To continue.